You know what you love about our marriage? All of the singing I do at the top of my lungs.
You've been doing more of it lately.
I know, because the kids love it.
And animal noises.
You should hear my chimpanzee sound.
You're probably fine without it.
The neighbors think we're crazy.
They think we're crazy without that.
That's true. We get asked about our marriage all of the time and what it's like to live with each other essentially 24/7 in less than 400 square feet in our RV. Today we're going to address some of the most frequently asked questions that we get, as well as some of the comments that we get about us living in really a small space together all of the time.
Give you guys a little, I guess, sneak peek into what it's like in 400 square feet.
So we met when we were in college, dated all 4 years, got married after college, after we graduated. We settled down in Colorado, and we have been married for 13 years, going on 14?
No, it'll be 13 years this year.
October.
In October.
Okay, see, I always get this messed up because our dog is a year younger than our marriage, and I've been telling people that she's 13 years old, and she's actually 12 years old. So I'm all mixed up. That's why I'm mixed up. So one of the things we get most often is people tell us, I could never do what you guys do. I could never live with my husband or wife in less than 400 square feet and be with them all of the time. And we not only, you know, adventure together, but we also work together, obviously take care of our children together. The first thought I always have when someone says, I can never do what you do, is, well, when we marry our spouse, we marry them and want to be with them all of the time. Like, you have to remember that first new love, when you first got married, you literally got married so you can be together all of the time and never have to say goodbye anymore. I feel like you need to rekindle that, and can rekindle that in your relationship, and kind of figure out how to be together again in that way. Also, I don't think we could have done this if we were newlyweds. We figured out so much, I feel like, in our newlywed years, that, you know, just figuring out communication and our jobs.
Well, that's the thing, because to live like this takes a lot of teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
And if you still haven't even figured out how to, like, manage your money.
Yeah. If you haven't figured out how to be a team yet, honestly.
You're not gonna succeed. You're gonna be mad at each other all the time.
I also think you have to be on the same page as your spouse going into this kind of a life change. I think if either of us felt at all a little hesitant.
Yeah, like it wasn't something we necessarily wanted to do, but you compromised for your spouse.
I think that every little bump in the road, which there's a lot of bumps in the road when it comes to RVing. Yeah, we run into that a lot, where one spouse wants to do it and the other doesn't, and then they go through their whole lives never having done it. But I actually usually hear a little bit of regret from both of them. So even from the wives that say, you know, my husband always wanted to do that, but I never did, it's usually coupled with, I wish we just would have bit the bullet and did it, because it could have been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So have the conversation. This was definitely a process for us.
Yeah, it was years.
Yeah, really
years in the making. I can't remember if Melody asked me what I would do.
Probably,
if she died, or if I just offered the information, but it came up, and I basically said that, you know, if it was just me, I would just buy an RV, and I think I said move to Alaska. You
said travel.
But
you said you wanted to travel around and see the country and probably end up in Alaska.
yeah. Like very early in our marriage when I brought that up.
Yeah.
I think Melody was a little offended at first.
I was. Because I was like, well, that sounds like a really great time. So glad you do that without me. But at the time, there's no way that I even considered it an option to give up the life that we had in order to do something like that. But I feel like that was kind of the first seed that was planted in my mind about RVing full-time, even though it wasn't even a serious conversation. We talked about it, and we talked about it some more. We went to Wisconsin and went to the cottage, which is our happy place, and got to rest and talk some more and really start to think through the practicalities of making this RV full-time and a real option for our family. We were both fully on the same page. Mm-hmm. We had both gotten there because we each had our times of doubts. We each had our times of John going, I don't know about this. We got to look at these things.
Yeah,
me
like,
going,
this seems crazy.
Yeah. Me going, I can't sell my chickens and leave my backyard garden and our wonderful community. So we definitely had our moments and had to let go of a lot of things that were important to the both of us in order to make this kind of lifestyle happen. All right, so did we ever get any date nights?
Not really.
Nope. That being said, our kids are in bed every night between 7 and 7:30, as long as they fall asleep. So we get a lot of alone time, I would say. Like our evenings feel fairly child-free. So it's about staying home and dating each other at home.
Versus at a restaurant.
Yeah. We still like date nights.
Yeah. It's hard enough to find a babysitter like in your neighborhood when you're living in a house, much less, oh, I'm on the other side of the country in a place I know nothing about.
Right.
So
I'm not just gonna have a random person come over and watch my kids. Now, we have had some friends be amazing and offer to watch our kids for us so we could go out on a date night. We even had some good friends of ours go on a double date with us, and they paid for the sitter to watch all of our kids. That was super fun. So we've had some just really generous friends do that for us. And then family too, if we're around.
Whenever we're around, friends or family.
Yeah.
Family will ask for them to watch them. Friends, we wait for them to offer.
Yeah. I do feel like, though, as far as nurturing our relationship, having the conversations that we have really bring us closer, like in the evenings, just talking about important things, talking about how we're feeling, the things that we're processing, and then you really kind of kindle your romance through the small moments and the little things that you do for each other every day. And quite honestly, this lifestyle, we've chosen our family pretty much above anything else. Like, we've chosen each other.
Yeah.
So I feel like that helps too, because it reminds me that you're in this to spend a lot of time with me as well as our kids. And so that's important.
Because we can't be seeing sights, every moment of every day. So a lot of it is just being together as a family and being present with your family versus just leaving for work every day,
right?
Coming home just in time for the kids to go to bed and things like that.
Something really amazing, we actually had a friend tell us, her and her husband both work at home, and she said, isn't it awesome how much closer you grow when your guys' schedules are in sync, like when you can spend every moment of every day with each other. And I think I was fearful of spending every moment of every day with each other because I thought we'd butt heads. But it's almost harder to have us leave the home, go to our jobs, doing whatever we're doing all day, you being involved what you're involved in, me being involved what I'm involved in, and then coming back together in the evenings.
You almost live separate lives.
Yeah.
And then at some point in the day, you then have to figure out how to meld those two separate lives back together versus just being together all the time.
Right.
Or even like in the work that we do, we sit next to each other. I don't have to come home and be like, oh, you'll never believe what happened at work.
Yeah. And then at the end of the day, we can focus on each other and resting and decompressing and things like that instead of talking about our days to each other. Do we have any separate time? Like, do I get any time for myself and do you get any time for yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to be like physically super separate to have our own time.
I can put a headset on and play some video games and she'll watch TV or whatever. And
it's all within the same, like,
we're in
10
like
by 10 square space.
We're like 2 feet from each other while that's happening,
but I'm like in my zone, I've got my chocolate, I got my tea, I've got my show. I am in my zone. Like, that to me feels like me time.
Yeah.
And then you're definitely in your zone, playing your game with your headset on, all into it. So, and then we come back together like we used to when we were in a house, like 9 p.m.
Yeah.
We watch a show together or play a board game that doesn't happen as often as it should. But
yeah.
But we come back together after kind of having like our respective alone time. We have a sound machine for the kids upstairs, and that drowns out us watching shows, spending time together,
and
doing dishes.
It never gets turned off too. So we all just live with a constant sound machine running.
That's right. It's always like kind of in the background.
Yeah, it is. It kind of goes through the whole trailer.
Yeah. All right. So what do we fight about most often? We don't fight living in less than 400 square feet of space. Never.
I mean, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Like, I think when you hear the word fight, I think a lot of people think about like yelling, screaming, knockdown, dragouts, and like that just doesn't happen.
We don't do that, yeah.
Even when we were in a, bigger house and things like that, it just wasn't something that we did as a couple. But when you're in 400 square feet, you can't get away from things. You can't get away from kids running, jumping, yelling, screaming, disobeying, not listening, dogs in the way. I have to move this out of the way. Who put this here? Why is it here? That kind of stuff. That's probably what bothers me the most.
Yeah, it definitely raises tensions and just makes you a little bit more on edge because you're just kind of bothered by everything and the chaos of everything that happens in such a small space.
Yeah.
I think probably one of the biggest things that we fight about are just the fact that we can't fight like in the moment. Like we can't have that conversation. If something happens and I want to talk to you about it or you want to talk to me about it, like the kids are there, everybody, so we're not going to have those conversations in front of them.
We have to wait for them to
so
go to bed, but not just go to bed, but then fall asleep.
Yeah, so then it's like, okay, we'll handle this later, and then do we ever really handle it later? Sometimes we don't. This is also the great thing about being in such close quarters. You can just yell at each other from, go to bed, turn down the TV. So that's a little bit about our marriage in less than 400 square feet, in our RV, being around each other all the time, traveling with each other all the time. I think another question that we get often is, I want to travel, but I've never brought up the idea to my spouse. How do I even go about starting that conversation and bringing it up?
Don't be afraid, just ask, or just say, hey, I got a crazy idea, what do you think?
Yeah, just throw it out there. I mean, like John saying, hey, this was years ago, and it might take years for you to get there with your spouse where you're both on the same page and ready to travel. Maybe you have to wait for something. We waited for Emerson's preschool for him to graduate preschool because we really liked his preschool.
So maybe,
maybe you want to wait until your kids are older. I actually have a blog post about RVing with young kids because when we first started RVing, Nora was only 1. She just turned 1, and Emerson was 4. Doesn't hurt to have the conversation, and if it's really a desire that you are longing for, just let your spouse know. You might be surprised, and it doesn't have to be this crazy thing. It will be a crazy thing because it's a crazy idea.
Yeah.
It's just crazy in general, I think.
It might just be something that your spouse has never thought about.
Yeah.
And doesn't even know that he or she wants to do that.
Yeah.
Until they stop and, actually think about it and what it will be like.
We both started following quite a few families that do it, and that was encouraging to get us on the same page because we saw others doing it, and we saw others doing it with young kids. And
once you talk about it out loud, Instagram and all the others are just going to start shoving it in your face.
Yeah, so. Before you know it, there's RV sale ads all over your feed, and it's real easy to go from 0 to 100 in that respect. What's one of the best things that's happened for our marriage? Betty's. And we are not affiliated with them. That is a tornado siren test.
It's 12 o'clock.
No, every day.
Not every day. It's also not consistent.
Which isn't great. We are big Betty's fans. We used to steal the covers from each other, and the covers would be a disaster. I felt like we woke up fighting about those covers more often than probably not.
And you
since
might,
Betty's,
you might go look up a Betty, go see what one is, and think to yourself that it would be worse. You'd be fighting over the covers even more, but you'd be wrong.
You got a zipper on your side, both sides. So if John starts stealing my covers, I literally pull it and then zip it, and he can't take it back.
I don't take covers though, anyway, so.
Yes, you do.
The time I'm hot and I'm like
That's
out of
why.
the covers.
You take the covers and you stick them like here and then in between your legs, and you just like hoard them. So you're not using them. Like I use them. You just like use them as support and then hold on to them for dear life. So if I can get them from you, then I zip and defenses.
There's a reason I hold on to them for dear life.
Sure, I'm a cover stealer.
I've been trained to.
I'm a cover stealer, see? But since Betty's came along...
Hasn't been a problem.
Hasn't been a problem.
I think we're done.
Marriage is what brings us together. That shows my age. That used to be quoted when I was in high school, like all the time.
I've never heard that before.
Princess Bride?
No, we're not going to watch it.
Oh no, we're definitely watching it. Yes. No. If you want more riveting content, like our marriage in less than 400 square feet, like and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate your support, and obviously we're going to continue to share. The goal is weekly videos of either us RVing. We're going to hit the road in another couple weeks, and we'd love to show you where we're going to go in Wisconsin and some of the places we're going to visit, as well as our homestead adventure and all of the things that we're doing over on our land.
Like, subscribe, share.
Thanks.